At Meta, you guys have done amazing AI work. I mean, one of the things that I find amusing is when the press writes about how Meta's jumped into AI this last couple of years, as if the work that FAIR has done. Remember, we all use PyTorch. That comes out of Meta. The work that you do in computer vision, the work in language models, real-time translation, groundbreaking work. I guess my first question for you is, how do you see the advances of generative AI at Meta today, and how do you apply it to either enhance your operations or introduce new capabilities that you're offering?
Yeah, so a lot to unpack there. First of all, really happy to be here. Meta has done a lot of work and has been at SIGGRAPH for 8 years. So I mean, it's we're noobs compared to you guys. But I think it was back in 2018.
You're dressed right, but this is my hood. I just
well, thank you for welcoming me to your hood. I think it was back in 2018 we showed some of the early hand tracking work on for our VR and mixed reality headsets. I think we've talked a bunch about the progress that we're making on codec avatars, the photorealistic avatars that we want to be able to drive from consumer headsets, which we're getting closer and closer to, so pretty excited about that. And also a lot of the display systems work that we've done. So some of the future prototypes and research for getting the mixed reality headsets to be able to be really thin with just pretty advanced optical stacks and display systems, the integrated system. I mean, that's been stuff that we've typically shown here first. So excited to be here. This year, not just talking about the metaverse stuff, but also all the AI pieces, which, as you said, I mean, we started FAIR, the AI Research Center, back then it was Facebook, now Meta, before we started Reality Labs. I mean, we've been at this for a while. All of the stuff around Gen AI, it's an interesting revolution, and I think that it's going to end up making, I think, all of the different products that we do, different in interesting ways. I mean, I kind of go through. You can look at the big product lines that we have already. So things like the feed and recommendation systems and Instagram and Facebook, and we've kind of been on this journey where that's gone from just being about connecting with your friends, and the ranking was always important because even when you were just following friends, if someone did something really important, like your cousin had a baby or something, it's like you want that at the top. You'd be pretty angry at us if it was buried somewhere down in your feed. So the ranking was important, but now over the last few years, it's gotten to a point where more of that stuff is just different public content that's out there. The recommendation systems are super important because now, instead of just a few hundred or thousand potential candidate posts from friends, there's millions of pieces of content, and that turns into like a really interesting recommendation problem. And with generative AI, I think we're going to quickly move into this zone where not only is the majority of the content that you see today on Instagram just recommended to you from kind of stuff that's out there in the world that matches your interests, whether or not you follow the people. I think in the future, a lot of this stuff is going to be created with these tools too. Some of that is going to be creators using the tools to create new content. Some of it, I think, eventually is going to be content that's either created on the fly for you, or kind of pulled together and synthesized through different things that are out there. So I think that's just one example of how kind of the core part of what we're doing is just going to evolve, and it's been evolving for 20 years already. But I think
very few people realize that one of the largest computing systems the world has ever conceived of is a recommender system.
Yeah, I mean, it's this whole different path, right? It's not quite the kind of Gen AI hotness that people talk about, but I think it's like it's all the transformer architectures, and it's a similar thing of just building up more and more general models.
Embedding unstructured data into features and.
Yeah, I mean, one of the big things that just drives quality improvements is, it used to be that you'd have a different model for each type of content, right? So a recent example is, we had one model for ranking and recommending reels and another model for ranking and recommending more long form videos. and then take some product work to basically make it so that the system can display anything in line. But the more you kind of just create more general recommendation models that can span everything, it just gets better and better. So I mean, part of it I think is just like economics and liquidity of content, and the broader of a pool that you can pull from, you're just not having these weird inefficiencies of pulling from different pools. But yeah, I mean, as the models get bigger and more general, that gets better and better. So I kind of dream of one day, like you can almost imagine all of Facebook or Instagram being, like a single AI model that has unified all these different content types and systems together that actually have different objectives over different time frames, right? Because some of it is just showing you, what's the interesting content that you're going to be, that you want to see today. But some of it is helping you build out your network over the long term, right? People you may know or accounts you might want to follow.
And these multimodal models tend to be much better at recognizing patterns, weak signals, and such. And so one of the things that people always, it's so interesting that AI has been so deep in your company. You've been building GPU infrastructure, running these large recommender systems for a long time. Now you're
a little slow on it, actually, getting to GPUs.
Yeah, I was trying to be nice.
I know. Well, too nice.
I was trying to be nice.
Well,
you're my guest.
When I was backstage before I came on here, you were talking about like owning your mistakes or something, right? So
you don't have to volunteer it out of the blue.
I think this one has been well trod. It's like I got raked over.
But
the
as soon as you got into it,
as
soon as you got into it strong. Let's just put it. There you go. There you go.
That's how we roll.
Now, the thing that's really cool about generative AI is these days when I use WhatsApp, I feel like I'm collaborating with WhatsApp. I love Imagine. I'm sitting here typing, and it's generating the images as I'm going.
Yeah.
I go back and I change my words. It's generating other images.
Yeah.
And so the one that old Chinese guy enjoying a glass of whiskey at sundown with 3 dogs, golden retriever, golden doodle, and a Bernese mountain dog. And it generates, a pretty good-looking picture. Yeah,
we're getting there.
That's me.
Every month.
Yeah.
Getting better.
And then now you could actually load my picture in there.
Yep.
Actually be me.
Yeah, that's as of last week.
Super excited about that.
So now imagine me. I'm spending a lot of time with my daughters, imagining them as mermaids and things over the last week. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that's the other half of it. I mean, a lot of the Gen AI stuff is going to, on the one hand, it's, I think, going to just be this big upgrade for all of the workflows and products that we've had for a long time. Mm-hmm. But on the other hand, there's going to be all these completely new things that can now get created. So Meta AI, the idea of having, just an AI assistant that can help you with different tasks, and in our world is going to be, very creatively oriented, like you're saying, but I mean, they're very general. So I mean, you don't need to just constrain it to that. It'll be able to answer any question. Over time, I think, when we move from like the Llama 3 class of models to Llama 4 and beyond, it's gonna, I think, feel less like a chatbot, where it's like you give it a prompt and it just responds, and then you give it a prompt and it responds, and it's just like back and forth. I think it's gonna pretty quickly evolve to you give it an intent, and it actually can go away on multiple time frames. And I mean, it probably should acknowledge that you gave it an intent up front. But I mean, some of the stuff I think will end up, it'll spin up, compute jobs that take, weeks or months or something, and then just come back to you when like something happens in the world. And I think that's going to be really powerful. So I mean,
Today's AI, as you know, is kind of turn-based. You say something, it says something back to you. But obviously, when we're given a mission or we're giving a problem, we'll contemplate multiple options, or maybe we come up with a tree of options, a decision tree, and we walk down the decision tree, simulating in our mind, what are the different outcomes of each decision that we could potentially make. And so we're doing planning. And so in the future, AIs will kind of do the same.